tavern is well frequented. The bar is occupied by a lot of drunkards. Not many stools are left. The innkeeper is busy serving his patrons. You sit down. The innkeeper looks at you inquiringly. You're a motley lot. What can I get you? The innkeeper fills some tankards and puts them on the counter with a happy-sounding, "There you go." The innkeeper doesn't pay you any more attention and busies himself with the other patrons at the bar. However, from time to time, he sneaks a glance in your direction. It takes a while for him to return. The same again? The innkeeper grins from ear to ear and thumps an empty wooden mug on the counter. Did you hear that? These travelers here are buying around. Instantly, thirsty men are shouting expensive orders. The barmaid gives you a big smile and rushes behind the counter to fill tankards and mugs. Turning back to you, the innkeeper says, "That will be..." The patrons raise their tankards in a toast to you. "A toast to the generous foreigners," one cries out, and the other patrons join in. A dwarf, evidently drunk, swears everlasting friendship, and an elf poet recites some verse for you. A Thorwallian, wearing a war coat and bearing a heavy axe and a bugle, enters the taproom. "Hearken, hearken, hearken! The hetman Tronde Torbenson seeks heroes who are able and willing to go on a dangerous quest that may well cost them their lives, but may also give them eternal glory and good gold. Skills of the sword and magic are needed to complete this quest. If you believe that you have both the skills and the courage, go to the hetman in Thorwall by the shortest route." You take a look around. Nothing much has changed. The few patrons have probably left the tavern, but others have arrived to take their place. In the corner, a leaf elf has unpacked a hand harp and begins to sing, but sadly, nobody is listening. Do you want to? Nothing much has. You pay for your last beer and leave. On your way out, the innkeeper wishes you a good journey home. Looks like had a little too much to drink. Is having a hard time staying upright. A few yards further finds throwing up noisily, to the peak of passers-by. Looks like had a little too much to drink. Is having a hard time staying upright. A young lady approaches you. Her face is an expression of ecstasy, and she stretches her arms out in a gesture of longing. When she looks into his face, she turns pale and stammers.
"I'll never eat cheese toast again."
Then the hetman's Otterskin rises high above the city, home not only to Hetman Tronda's residence. True, I admire your self-confidence. One of the guards lead you into the large storage, where Hetman Tronda is brooding over old maps by the light of several candles. After you have politely introduced yourself, "We do not need these niceties. So you think you are able to survive the wilderness for months on end, to find something where you don't even know what it is? Indeed, that's what I call courage. Right to business. Thorwall is in grave peril. Orcs are gathering in the upper Bodir Valley, and it looks like they have united behind one leader now. If the auguries are accurate, then they will number in the thousands this time. We must prevent the orcs from reaching Vilnhome, else war will be inevitable. I have studied the ancient sagas and realized that the best thing we can do is impress the orcs, and preferably their chieftain, so much that they abandon their plans. Magic would actually be best suited to the task, but you know what it's like. Spellcasters are either incompetent or on the wrong side, so we need a different method. There was a weapon lost in Orkland dozens of years ago. Grimring, the sword of the famous hetman Higgelik, whose expedition never returned. His grave must be somewhere in Orkland, and his sword is probably there as well. They say the orcs were in terror of the weapon then, and their shamans, or whatever they're called, supposedly have a long memory. If we could get our hands on this weapon, and a brave warrior could teach the orcs a lesson with it, we would have won half the battle. They'll either scatter, or else their morale will be weakened to the point that we easily force them to retreat. Well, now that you know what this is about, do you still think you have the courage to go on this quest? As soon as possible. Pack your things, get equipped for the wild, and set forth. It would be good if you searched these parts first. Some of the expedition members' descendants are still alive. As far as I know, a direct descendant of Higgelik, one Isleif Olgardsson, lives in Stanrock. Why don't you try your luck there? May Swafnir's blessing and the 12 be with you. Rhinoceros is grazing peacefully ahead of you, but rhinoceroses are easily irritated, as you are all well aware. Do you want to? The rhinoceros lifts his head as you approach. Small eyes look in your direction. Suddenly, the animal charges at you. You dive into the bushes, but is not so lucky and gets rammed by the rhinoceros. lightning find you.